This show is sponsored by Alicia's Pillows and Things. Check out the Facebook page, Alicia's Pillows and Things, where you will find home decor you will not be able to resist at prices anybody can afford. Check out the pillows and stools of your favorite sports teams. Maybe you want a set of your kid's favorite cartoon or movie character. You can also get full body and neck pillows as well. Log on to ngscsports.com and go to the Alicia's Pillows and Things tab on the homepage to complete your order. It makes a great gift for Christmas at an affordable price. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
Next month.
Okay, fair enough, I guess.
It's like, oh, you're going to do it on Wednesday night. Of course you are. Oh, look what it's running directly against. Of course you are.
Shocker.
And I bet you, too, now, since it's going to USA, I bet you'll see more, I bet you'll see, like, more main roster guys just, like, show up.
Mm-hmm.
And now with it being a 2-hour show. I wonder, I haven't looked enough at everything. I wonder if they're going to be still recording it or if it's going to become a live show.
Ooh, interesting.
Yes.
I guess we'll find out.
Because basically right now what they do is they record they do like these 4-hour TV tapings.
Mm-hmm.
And then, break the show up into, they'll do, a month's worth of shows, because right now the show's only an hour on Wednesday night on the network. So, they'll basically do a TV taping once a month, and that'll be, they'll do a 4-hour TV taping, and that's an entire month worth of shows for them.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but now you're going to have to keep your big storylines, you're going to have to, I feel like their biggest storylines are going to have to make an appearance every week, to keep that more mainstream audience out there.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, we will talk about those happenings, and we'll talk about a lot more here this week on episode 276 of the Foreign Affair podcast. My name is Edward Green. Joining me, as always, McCall in Crime, Wes Bradshaw. It's kind of a weird week, though, because he's calling in from parts unknown, but it's not Anfield Corner. It's just like the whole thing this week is Anfield Corner. But don't worry, I'm not going to let the whole thing be Anfield Corner, folks. It's not happening.
I will do my best to make it a full Anfield Corner.
Oh, he's going to try, but we will.
I promise I'll mention other things.
Thank you. We do have a big show. We will be talking a little bit about Liverpool, of course, as well as the rest of the Premier League weekend in review. It was a big weekend of Premier League action. We'll be getting to that. We'll also be getting, I will drop really quickly, the Champions League and Europa League stuff as we head into the final week before we have all of our group stage teams for both tournaments. So that is really awesome. The summer is finally starting to end. As far as those tournaments go. We'll also hit the news and notes really quick, some stories this week, as well as hit the watch for and a little bit of news, as you might have heard in the pre-pod from So Elite Raw. As always, the pod is presented by NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. We never stop. As well as Alicia's Pillows and Things. Guys, girls, if you want that sweet body pillow of... What's a good body pillow this week? You know what? You're Simon Mignolet.
Oh, somebody needs a hug.
And you need hugs, because you saw, it was like your chance after chance after chance, like, oh, if only I had still been there. I probably wouldn't be playing, but oh, if I was only there. So, if you need something to hold, check out Alicia's Pillows and Things on Facebook. She has some great sports-themed body pillows and ottomans, and like normal-sized pillows as well. So you can reach out to her and see if she can customize you something good, Simone. You can also check out some great deals over at NGSC Sports, but once again, that's Alicia's Pillows and Things. So
Simone, of course, needs a customized Club Bruges body pillow.
Yes. Oh, that's not nearly as attractive as the Liverpool body pillow. You just have a full picture of Adam Lallana on there. So, as we go, big weekend in the Premier League, like we said. Match week 2 coming up at the week after we did our preview one weekend to the season and gave you our predictions. I am going to run through the scores really quickly, especially for the matches we're not really going to talk about. Aston Villa falls once again, this time to Bournemouth, 2-1. 2 very early goals from the Cherries seal the deal as Josh King converts a penalty in the first 2 minutes, and Harry Wilson scores 10 minutes later to give Bournemouth all 3 points. Excuse me, folks. Douglas Luiz would score in the 71st minute to get Aston Villa a little bit of hope at home, but they were not able to capture that magic going forward and still fell 2-1. Everton beats Watford 1-0. 10th minute goal from Bernard, who matches his goal total from all of last season in the second week. So good for you, Bernard. Good for you. Everton with the win there. Let's see what we got here. We're not really going to talk, I think, too much about them. Arsenal beats Burnley 2-1 in the first match of the whole weekend. Lacazette and Aubameyang back on the score sheet. But those goals did come around a 43rd minute goal from Ashley Barnes. Burnley actually did some very interesting things in this match and pressed a little more than we've seen from Sean Dyche's clubs in the past. So we'll see if that is a thing that continues on for Burnley when they play these top 6 clubs. But Arsenal do get their first win and their first home match of the year at home. Norwich does beat Newcastle 3-1. Norwich coming off, the disappointing loss to open the season. They come out and whoop Newcastle 3-1. A hat-trick from last year's, I believe, all of the English Football League scorer, Timu Pukki, who scored their lone goal last week against Liverpool. He gets the hattie against Newcastle. Newcastle in big disarray. John Joe Voldemort Shelvey with the goal in the 93rd minute for Newcastle. Their only respite from getting shut out in this match. But not a lot going good for Steve Bruce's men these first 2 weeks over at Newcastle. Brighton and West Ham drew 1-1. Chicharito with the goal in the 61st minute. Could have probably passed and scored as well. But hey, he scored, and that's what matters. But it was answered just 4 minutes later from Leandro Trossard. So he gets the goal there to get Brighton a very important point at home. On Sunday, Sheffield beats Palace 1-0. Sheffield back up in the Prem, and they get the big goal there from not prolific goal scorer John Lundstrom, but a big goal it was for him and the Sheffield Unitedians. Sure. As they beat Palace 1-0. Chelsea and Leicester. We'll talk a little bit about that. And so we can actually start our talk. Excuse me. As we have our 4 matches now, we are going to talk a little about, and we can start with, I believe, the first big match of the weekend. And that was the Saturday marquee matchup of Manchester City versus Tottenham Hotspur. It was a 2-2 draw, because thanks VAR, man of the match once again. Raheem Sterling got it started in the 20th minute, but Spurs would not be denied. Just 3 minutes later, Eric Lamela, with a great shot from outside the box, gets Tottenham back level at 1-1, but Sergio Aguero would make the lead 1 again in the 35th minute after some poor Spurs defending. And then just 19 seconds after coming onto the pitch in the second half, Lucas Moura, I saw an article before the start of the season from The Athletic, can't pimp The Athletic enough, saying, is Lucas Moura going to just be the guy who is never great, but has great big moments? Well, he had another one for Spurs here. 19 seconds on the pitch, heads home a corner from Eric Lamela, and gets the tying goal for Spurs, 2-2 at the Etihad. Then drama late on, as seems to happen frequently for these two teams. Gabriel Jesus thought he had scored the winner in the final 2 minutes of the match, but VAR ruled that there was handball in the box from City, and the goal did not count. So once again, just like in last year's Champions League final, and I believe 2 or 3 years ago, Jesus also had a goal ruled out against Spurs late on that could have won in the match. I believe that one was for offsides and didn't take VAR to do it. So City, once again, falling to Spurs and not able to get 3 points against them. And Wes, I know you're gonna jump in here in just a minute, but I was feeling so good about the match. Spurs showing resilience, getting outshot 30-3, and still coming away with a big point on the road. Feeling good. And then I hop on Facebook and I'm going through some this article on ESPN, and somebody makes a comment. It's like, I wish this had happened last year. Spurs taking care of business against City, and I'm like, that guy's an asshole. Like, what is he talking about? What a jerk. Okay, how dare he say something like that? This random internet commentator. How dare he? What a absolute jerk that person was. So that's that.
And then you notice that he had a top fan badge beside his name, and you're like, oh my god, that's Wes Bradshaw.
That's Wes Bradshaw's music. My God.
Oh my god, that's Wes Bradshaw's music.
I laughed really hard when I saw that, not gonna lie. So we will Wes will be joining us here in just a second, but again, a big
I'm here for you.
Okay, well, Wes, this was a big match for both these clubs. Again, City outshooting Tottenham 10-1, but not able to get that final goal fairly against Spurs, and just getting the draw. This was a big match, I think, for both clubs. Even hearing Pochettino say after the match that Spurs still a little bit unsettled in some of their personnel adjustments, and yet able to go into the Etihad and get a point, I think speaks volumes about how good this club could be this season. Manchester City, even in the drop points, still look superbly good, though, I think.
And as you know, I love a good meme.
Yes.
I think my favorite one off of this match that I saw, this match and others like it, it was showing the world's top football rivalries. And, you had the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid, you had Manchester United and Liverpool, and Juventus and Inter Milan. We know the big rivalries all around the world. But I think my favorite rivalry that they had listed on there was Manchester City versus VAR.
It's true.
A late Gabriel Jesus winner. Not so fast, my friend, as the great Lee Corso would say.
Mm-hmm.
Is ruled out via the VAR. And City are left a wee bit disappointed.
Should be, yeah.
A wee bit disappointed. I could understand where they would be. And Tottenham doing what last season it took them until April to do. They get a draw. This is, that's the biggest thing that's telling us that this is a new Tottenham generation. That they settled for a draw early in the season. Lucas Moura, definitely one of the underrated performers, I believe, in this league at this point.
Mm.
He's a guy who I think his star just kind of dimmed, unfortunately, so much while he was at Manchester City. So I think
PSG, you mean?
Oh, yeah, PSG. I'm very sorry about that.
No problem.
So I think that's a little unfair on him, but because of it, Spurs were kind of able to go in under the radar and get a really, really good player.
Mm-hmm.
And he has shown his quality and his ability and things he's able to do. He's shown it over and over. So, good on him, good on him. And really, like you said, for Tottenham, going into the Etihad especially, your game plan is not to go in and try to dominate Manchester City.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just not happening, I mean, nobody's going in and dominating the city. But Tottenham did what they needed to do. They stuck to their game plan. They did get down, but they kept the match within striking distance, and they were able to come up with the big goal late, and then VAR helped them out on the Jesus goal. I think it's a really big early season point for Spurs, because it says to them, okay, we've got that piss and grit in us this year.
Mm-hmm.
And, personally, I think this Spurs team probably should be better than last year's Spurs team.
Yeah, I agree.
With the additions of Dombele, De Celso, still remains to be seen what's going to happen with Christian Eriksen.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a real catch-22 right now for Tottenham. Either you're going to have a great player back in the team and you're not going to get any money, or you're going to get money that you can reinvest in the squad. So we'll just kind of have to see how that plays out. But for Tottenham, it does show, that they do have that attitude of like, we might be down, but we're not dead.
Mm-hmm.
For City, this breaks their 15-match Premier League winning streak.
Yeah.
And that's just winning streak, because they still haven't lost since, 2018. But as far as a straight-up winning streak, it's over. So, for City, it is an early little chink in the armor, even though when you look at it, they played really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you kind of take it for what it's worth. But just the way City have been the last few years, it is always a story if they drop points.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So it was a really big result, and even with it being a team as quality as Tottenham, I think it still sent a little bit of a shockwave through the Premier League, and then especially the way it happened with VAR late on. So really, really big early season match, and it's one, let's see if it comes back to haunt or help at the end of the season, either of these teams.
Absolutely. And just before we move to our next match, we talked about memes a little bit. Gotta love Tottenham's Twitter account referencing last year's Champions League VAR result that happened, and making a cheeky tweet about that, putting the picture up. And then Raheem Sterling, the absolute mad lad. We give him so much shit, but for him to make a post or reply to that tweet, basically saying like the stuff of nightmares or nightmare fuel or something like that, to have that kind of fun, I think that's so good. Because this is like, it sucks in the moment to lose a match like that, but to have that, I think maybe sort of mental resiliency to kind of maybe show we're bouncing back very quickly from that. Obviously, this was not as important potentially as a Champions League quarterfinal, but I do got to give him props for that response. So good on you, Raz. As we move on, though, to the St. Mary's Stadium, where Liverpool keep to the 6 points with the 2-1 victory over the Saints of Southampton. Sadio Mane with the goal just before halftime, and then linking up with Bobby Firmino in the 71st minute to get the second goal. Liverpool looked to be a little bit on cruise control, sort of like last week, but unfortunately, it just, as it sometimes happens, Southampton had so much taken from them by Liverpool. It only felt right that Liverpool gave something back, and that back was Danny Ings, who does score against his former club in the 83rd minute, and maybe should have actually equalized the match late on. Missed a very good opportunity late to get that going. Liverpool do get the win. Again, Adrian, who had a very weird injury in the Super Cup when he was assaulted in joy by a fan running onto the pitch, does get the start, does make all but the one save on Ings. Wes, is there any Is there any, I don't want to say nervousness, because I think that's too strong. Is there any just sense that maybe this overall defense, and again, Alisson, one of the best keepers in the world, isn't playing. Is there any sense that maybe this defense isn't quite yet at that same level as it was last year? Or is this just kind of been a blip to start the season and, hey, we'll take the 6 points and just look to get better?
Oh, they're absolutely not at level that we were seeing last season.
Okay.
Last season, teams basically came in praying that they could get a goal against Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point, I can say it now because it's done dusted. Liverpool were the best defense in Europe last season.
Mm-hmm.
Statistically, I think, and by the eye test, they were magnificent. This season, you've seen a couple things. The Alisson injury. While Adrian has come in and admirably filled in, we'll get to his monumental Loris Karius-like mistake real quick in a moment from this past weekend. He's done an admirable job, but for Liverpool right now, they're not looking the impenetrable fortress that they were a season ago. Part of it is that they're playing a higher line this year.
Okay.
Klopp, every year Klopp seems to want to try to throw some new wrinkles into what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what we talk about, the evolution of this Liverpool squad. It's 98% the same squad from a season ago. But there are some new wrinkles, and this year it's a higher line, and they've gotten burned on that line a few times. With the game in midweek, some guys looked a little leggy in this one. And Southampton is always kind of Southampton's a tough place to play. St. Mary's, for whatever Southampton's had the last few years, St. Mary's can be a very tricky place to go and play.
Sure.
And like you said, the Liverpool looked like they were cruising up 2-0. Everything looked okay. And then Adrian kicks a ball directly at Danny Ings.
Yeah.
Oh, my sweet Jesus. And all I could do, Ed, I was saving this. I was hoping I wasn't going to have to use it. But, Adrian, I thought I knew you.
Oh, man.
Once again, you used me. Luckily for Adrian, we had 2 goals on the board and not just one.
Yeah.
Because, oh man, that would have been brutal if we had dropped points on that because of that. Oh, shit. But that does go to show you, I think, how important Alisson Becker is.
Yeah.
I think arguably, we'll say this, arguably he's the best goalkeeper in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You can make an argument on that, maybe with a few other guys, but not many. Adrian has done a very solid job, don't get me wrong, but Adrian's not Alisson Becker. There's a reason that he was a free agent up until the last week of the preseason.
Very true.
He's not Alisson. So, hopefully, as a Liverpool fan and supporter, we'll be able to keep putting those goals on the board and, hopefully find a way to start keeping a few clean sheets here. But this Liverpool defensively and in the midfield right now, I just don't think Liverpool are where they were definitely by the end of the season last year. The attack, Big Three looks great. They all scored. They all got assists. Mane's got 3 goals already in 3 matches. Bobby's got a pair of goals. Mo's got a goal and multiple assists. They're looking good. That front three's humming right along, man. They look like they may even find a vein of form better than last season when, apparently Mo Salah was terrible and only won the Golden Boot. That front three really, really, really looks good. Liverpool do still have some guys they want to try to work back in, to being kind of the main one who can link that midfield to that front three. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain had a fantastic match against Southampton. He looked really good. For him, it's just going to be about consistency and being able to do those week in and week out. England coming up for Liverpool this weekend, we'll talk about more when we preview. But right now, Liverpool sit atop the Premier League after 2 matches. And as we always say, you can't do better than sitting at the top. So
It's true.
It's like I said, as the final whistle finally went the other day, and I breathed. I looked over at my girlfriend who was riding with me and said, "All right, mission complete, move on." So, that's just how you have to take it, man. You take it one game at a time, one week in, 1 week out. Just hope it comes up your way, and through 2 weeks of the season, everything's coming up good for the Reds. So.
Well, and as Wes mentioned, there will be a potentially tougher task that we'll talk about here coming up here. But again, Liverpool do sit atop the table. Spoilers. But we will then we'll talk a little bit more about them in just a moment or two. We do want to run through our last 2 matches of the week. This one we can go through pretty quickly, but I do think it was one of the most entertaining matches of the week as well. Chelsea versus Leicester on Sunday does end in a 1-1 draw. Mason Mount, the Chelsea kid, comes in the 7th minute and buries one against Leicester. Chelsea starting like a house of fire and finally did get their goal just 7 minutes in. Just looked to be bossing Leicester all over the pitch. But the second half kind of turned things around. Leicester got some momentum. They started really, really coming together. And Wilfred Ndidi, who was at fault for the first goal, does come through with a header on a corner to give Leicester their equalizer. And for those final 20-some minutes, Leicester did look like a team that was going to come away with all 3 points. Unfortunately, they did not. Unfortunately for Fox fans, I guess I should say. But they do get a point at Stamford Bridge. And so in a tale of 2 halves, Wes, I'm not sure. It is better than their opener against United, for sure. Some definite signs of life in the first half. But I do have to wonder a little bit, if this Frank Lampard experiment is going to work. I know it's hard to judge him 2 weeks in, but this Chelsea, I don't know. There's just something a little bit off about how they're playing right now. When they look good, they look really good. And when they look not good, they look really bad. So what do you have any thoughts on this Chelsea team and maybe even the Leicester team as well?
Especially on Chelsea, I just don't know how much you can put this on Lampard.
Okay.
At this moment, this is a really poorly constructed Chelsea squad. This is the worst Chelsea squad we've seen since we've been watching.
Yeah.
When you really think about it, this was a squad that last season was not overly good.
Mm-hmm.
And by far they lost their best player.
Sure.
And were not able to replace.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you think of Christian Pulisic, however great you think he's going to be, he's not Eden Hazard.
No.
At this moment, he's nowhere close. So, I really think a season ago, we talked about this last year, Eden Hazard covered up so many blemishes for Chelsea.
Yeah.
If you take him out last year, I'm saying the words, this is a really poorly constructed squad. So, I don't think you can put this in Frank Lampard's lap.
Okay.
A guy who they brought in and were like, well, we can't give you anything. And he knew that. Obviously, he knew that taking the job. There are guys playing for Chelsea right now who, if things were different, would not be anywhere near Stamford Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at you, Tammy Abraham. I'm looking at you, Kurt Zuma. Those guys, they're Premier League players, but they're not Chelsea. They're not fighting for the top 4 Champions League players.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think Chelsea are really bereft of those right now. Looking forward for Chelsea, what's going to be extremely interesting is what happens with them next summer when, we're back in the market, Chelsea's not going to have Champions League football to offer next year, plus if London's not paying out. Frank Lampard just may have picked the absolute worst time to become the manager of Chelsea Football Club. That might be the biggest problem for Frank Lampard.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's like buying Enron stock 2 weeks before it crashed. Unfortunately for Frank, he's kind of bought a bad stock at this time. I do think that he needs a win.
Yeah.
He needs a win just to show that they can get the win, and I think some people will start to calm down a little bit. That said, I mean, that's not an easy start to the season. You know, for that manager, his first 3 matches in charge are United, Liverpool, and a really good Leicester team. So it's not like Frank's come in and played, you know, Sheffield and Villa and Crystal Palace and, you know, those teams that are going to be fighting relegation. I mean, so far he's played a team with top 4 ambitions, the 6-time defending champions of Europe. There you go.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah. The 6-time European champions, and a Leicester team that's looking to crash the party and has realistic ambitions to crash the party.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately for Frank, we'll take a look at where Chelsea's going to be playing this weekend coming up. Maybe he can get that first win. Unfortunately for Chelsea, they were not handed any favors by the schedule makers to start their season.
Oh, yeah. So big struggle for Leicester. Hopefully this will make them a little bit more tough under Brendan Rodgers going forward. Having this sort of start to the season maybe sort of galvanizes them a little bit. Again, they looked...
Hey, Brendan.
They're going to show great character.
I
tell you what, they have Sheffield next week and then Bournemouth after that. And then it's United and Tottenham in back-to-back weeks in September. So that will be a bit of a litmus test for Leicester. If they can come away with a couple wins coming up and then going into that United Spurs match, that will be very interesting to see how they are. All right, so our final match, Wolves versus United on Monday Night Football on NBC Sports. Another thrilling 1-1 draw. United scores in the first half through Anthony Martial. They get their goal there, and they take the 1-0 lead to halftime. And then...
Can I throw out something for Anthony Martial?
Please.
Anthony Martial has gotten to 50 Manchester United goals much quicker than Cristiano Ronaldo.
Well, there you go.
Just looking at that now. I think he's been like 20 less games maybe than Ronaldo.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, crazy. Anthony Martial, everyone considers him a sack of shit. Oh, my God. I would take Martial in the second at Liverpool. Besides his entire baggage, but just the player.
He's really good.
I think he's really super underrated. He's never been used right at
Well, maybe he's starting to get to that point where he's being used a little better by Solskjaer. But unfortunately, Wolves got the better of United on the day as Ruben Neves put one in the 55th minute to give Wolves the 1-1 draw. Of course, it could have been a United win. Unfortunately, Paul Pogba missed his chance and the penalty spot and could not convert. It was a great save by the Wolves keeper. I mean, it was a good save. It just wasn't a great penalty take either, I guess, by Pogba. But it does stay 1-1. And just, again, real quick, before we get to talking about United especially, to everyone online, just stop it. Stop fucking doing your racist shit, please. Just stop. Whatever you want to think of Pogba as a football player, and look, the two of us have crushed Pogba on a few times.
Love crushing Pogba.
Stop with the racist shit. Just stop it, you fucking keyboard warriors. Stop it. Get a fucking
what would you
grip.
have done if that was Ryan Giggs who missed that penalty? Are you giving him that kind of shit?
Oh, well, we go stand behind the captain. Whatever, fuck you. So, now let's talk about how bad Pogba was.
It's our turn to crush Pogba, but it doesn't racist.
I think it is unfortunate. He actually played pretty well in the first game. Didn't play too bad, I think, in this second one. Unfortunately, him missing the penalty is what everybody's going to talk about because that's kind of what happens with Pogba.
Well, and of course, because Solskjaer doesn't know how the hell to dismantle, to disarm people, or whatever.
Yeah, and just a very odd way of, unfortunately, because there seems to be a very fluid penalty situation at United, where it looks like Rashford is the one that is the number one penalty taker, but maybe didn't feel super comfortable with taking it, and so Pogba, stepped up and did that. So, which is why I think it's even more bizarre that people are giving Pogba shit. But anyway, whatever. We were a little quick to pump the brakes on United from last week after they put 4 on against Chelsea. Now they go to Wolves, and I believe they drew there at the Molineux last year, come through and get another draw this year. What do we think of United? Are they somewhere in between drawing Wolves and blasting Chelsea? Are they maybe even a little better than the scoreline suggests, or is this still going to be the team that finishes probably 4th or 5th?
I think one thing we can take away from this is, Wolves look a stronger squad than Chelsea at this point.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, if they hadn't been playing Europa League this year, I would have had no problem putting them above Chelsea in my predictions.
Yeah, I do think that might take its. We talked about it a few weeks ago. I think that'll take its toll on them. But at this point, I think Wolves. I think right now Wolves are a better squad than Chelsea.
I don't disagree with that.
You look at now they're filled with Portuguese internationals.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good squad.
Yeah.
As far as this one, I think United showed that they're talented. United have talent, but they're still a flawed squad.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think really nothing's going to change that. They're a flawed squad. Wan-Bissaka had some fault for that goal.
Mm-hmm.
I believe is what I saw when I saw the highlight. De Gea hasn't looked quite as horrendous as last year, but De Gea hasn't looked great yet. He's still not really back to that form that we always ascribe to David De Gea. I think Pogba's okay, and now we'll just get into the penalty because that's been the talk all week. It's been the penalty. My personal thought on it is Pogba he got there too fast. He forgot to stutter step for about 13 seconds before kicking the ball. So he doesn't know how to take full strides. But Solskjaer could have shut this whole mess down about the penalty. But once again, I don't think Solskjaer is a very strong manager whatsoever, especially when it comes to these personalities he's got in that locker room. I think that's going to ultimately be his undoing. But instead of just coming out and saying, I told Paul to take the penalty, he goes into this long rambling about how Paul and Pogba and Rashford are the 2 penalty takers, and they decide amongst themselves on the field who takes the penalty, and blah, 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 blah. Well, here's my thing with it. Marcus Rashford's never missed a penalty.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good number. Pogba is 7 of his last 11.
Yeah, I think he's like a 64% career penalty taker.
I don't understand where suddenly Paul Pogba's even in the discussion to be your penalty taker. That's me. I know he enjoys it because it's, for whatever we want to say, penalties are cheap goals.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's kind of impressive about Sadio Mane is Sadio Mane tied for the Golden Boot last year and did not take a penalty.
Yeah.
I think Salah took maybe 1 or 2 and got 2 goals there, but I don't think Mane's ever taken a penalty for Liverpool. So that's impressive when it comes down to the goal scoring at the end. But when it's something that important, here's one thing: if you're up 3-0 in the 85th minute and you get a penalty, let Pogba have his little penalty time.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's a game on the line. And if Marcus Rashford turned down the opportunity to take that penalty, then I have a question about Marcus Rashford all of a sudden.
Yeah.
If this kid's the future, and this kid's like the next great thing. Well, that's something he needs to take upon himself. Go up, take the penalty, score the penalty, and win the match.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Pogba and his ego be damned. So I think I think it's another crack at this United front. I would say, man, keep your eyes open because there's more shit coming down the line here before the European transfer window's going to shut. Real Madrid have already told Manchester United to be ready for a big offer from Pogba.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm very much in the doubt that United are going to accept that offer because I think they'd be freaking insane to do that right now without being able to go out and place Pogba. But all that's going to do is just keep Pogba in the news for the wrong reasons for the next few weeks.
Sure.
And right now, when you've spent your entire summer and the first few weeks of the season talking up your move to try to get out of United, and then you go and you basically cost your team points in a big situation, this could not be an easy time for Paul Pogba right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, once again, this Madrid offer is going to come. Whatever happens of it, it's going to come. And that's obviously going to dominate some news cycles there. So, United still have a lot of distractions going on there. They've still got issues.
Yeah.
And just beating Chelsea big in week one, beating what we just called the worst Chelsea team in our viewing lifetime, just because you went and hammered them in the first match, and Chelsea's got bigger problems fighting in you dudes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely not sold on United yet. And we'll have to see going forward. As far as Wolves, Wolves did what they had to do. They got the point. That's a big point. Taking a point off one of the bigger teams. And, now we'll see how Wolves get along when the Europa matches start kicking off.
And we'll talk a little bit about their road in a few minutes here. But again, yes, Wolves do look good. They do get the point, even if it comes with a little bit of a caveat. But hey, just like Spurs earlier against City, we take those. We take those points. So those are really big points, and couldn't be very big coming down to the end of the season. So that is our Premier League wrap up. Let's get into next week's schedule. This Friday, hey, get your Premier League weekend started right with NBC Sports Friday Night Football. 3 p.m. Aston Villa hosting Everton. It'll happen. On 7:30, Norwich looks for a win against Chelsea. That could be a tricky match. It's a match Chelsea should win, but I don't know. Norwich looks pretty feisty. We say they like to attack, and sometimes that can unsettle teams.
In the past, I would say the kids like to say it, but this is more of like our generation likes to say it. Norwich ain't scared.
Yeah. There you go.
One thing, Norwich ain't scared.
And hey, maybe that'll keep them up.
They're going to go at them. They might get ripped apart, but they're going to go at them.
That's why we love them. At 10 a.m., United looks to bounce back against Crystal Palace. Watford takes on West Ham. Sheffield United plays Leicester. Brighton and Hove plays Southampton. And in your match of the weekend, 12:30, Liverpool play Arsenal. We will get Wes's thoughts on that in just a second. On Sunday at 9 a.m., Bournemouth plays Man City. At 11:30, you get your choice of Tottenham versus Newcastle and Wolves versus Burnley. So, Wes, match of the weekend. Definitely, I think, Liverpool's toughest test so far. Though, as we were saying in our preview leading up to the season, it's like, yeah, this Arsenal team's gotten better offensively. They still seem really suspect defensively, and it's like, hey, this Liverpool side, they've sort of refound their scoring shoes from 2 years ago. This should be a bigger test for Liverpool, but it also could be like 5-1 at the end of it.
regime, and now early on in the Unai Emery regime. But, I mean, this has been a match where Liverpool have dominated Arsenal over the last few seasons. Arsenal definitely have weapons up front. Right now, they've got to like their chances to try to go and score a few goals, especially the way this Liverpool defense has been playing over the first few weeks, where it looks like there are holes there. But the problem is, even if this thing gets into a shootout, I think I trust Liverpool's front three against Arsenal's back line, against David Luiz and Skandrin Mustafi, or Papa Double Lava 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 Lavalas. Whoever they want to pair David Luiz with. I trust my big three going against them a hell of a lot more than I do theirs going against Van Dijk and the defending champions here 6 times. But I trust that front three going forward against that other front three. So I think it could be a Liverpool victory this weekend. Which if either team are able to pull off a win, they will here in week 3 be the only unblemished team left in the league. So.
That is correct. As we take a look at that table, Liverpool and Arsenal do sit atop of it. Liverpool are ahead on goal differential. Then you got a bunch of teams at 4 points, including both Manchester clubs, Brighton, Tottenham, Bournemouth, Sheffield United, and Everton. Then Burnley and Norwich both at 3, Leicester and Wolves at 2 apiece, Palace, Chelsea, and West Ham at 1, and then Villa, Newcastle, Southampton, and Watford all at 0 points. Still looking to get on the score sheet for the first time this season. So real quick, Champions League, the second legs of those matches, the final matches to get into the group stage will be taking place next week. Right now, Dynamo Zagreb has a 2-0 lead over Rosenborg. Slavia Prague has a 1-0 lead over CFR Cluj. Young Boys and Red Star are tied 2-2. And APOEL Nicosia and Ajax are tied at 0-0. Also, Club Brugge, is up 1-0 over LASK, and Olympiacos is 4-0 up on Krasnodar. So again, the winners of those matches will head into the group stage of the Champions League, and the draw for that will be next Friday, I believe, the 29th. So big funds there, big funds. And then as for Europa, we are going to check out Wolves. They start their journey today when you're listening to this against Torino. Yes, the Italian club. So they will be playing 2 legs against them. If they win the 2-leg tie, they will be heading into the group stage to join Manchester United as well as Arsenal as the 3 English clubs in the Europa League competition. So we'll see how that goes as well. All right, news and notes, some real quick stories. I don't know how I missed this one, but thank God I just randomly went on to Transfermarkt one day to see what was happening. Philip Coutinho's at Bayern Munich now. I never saw a notification. Just
that was happening at the end of last week.
Yeah, never saw it, but so yeah, he will be heading there for the low price of 8.5 million euros. He will be heading there on loan. Bayern will have an option to buy for 120 million euros, so the deal could get a lot sweeter.
And also, not only that, but Bayern are paying all of his wages this season.
Absolutely, that is also true. So this is a Bayern side that we have said is getting older. The 27-year-old will be heading in there and seeing if he can sort of re-kickstart his career after a sort of false start at Barcelona after moving there from Liverpool. Wes, so much love still for Coutinho, I'm sure. But this is a move that probably he needed to make in order to stay relevant in the terms of European football.
I agree. As far as Coutinho,
Yeah.
No, in all actuality with Coutinho, Barcelona, there are certain clubs that can crush a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And, you've really got to think about it when you decide you just got to move to one of these European giants. Even if you're coming from another one, which at the moment when Coutinho left Liverpool, they weren't back to where they are now.
Right.
You could sort of see it on the horizon, especially with the signing of Van Dijk when it happened. It was like, oh man, something special could be about to happen. And unfortunately for Coutinho, he jumped ship at like the exact wrong moment of time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Coutinho, he kind of seems to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But what Jurgen Klopp told him seems to kind of be coming back to get him a little bit. Jurgen Klopp tried to keep Coutinho at Liverpool. He said, "You stay here, they'll build a statue of you one day. You go to Barcelona. Hey, maybe you win the league, maybe you win the Champions League, but you're just another guy at Barcelona because you're playing with Messi."
Yeah.
And, Coutinho said, well, thanks, but no thanks. And now, that's the thing, man. It takes a special breed to go play with Lionel Messi.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And, as great as Messi is, and he's amazing. Messi has thrown the brakes on some guys' careers
in
the past. I mean, who is the, cult leader of this group of what we watch? I mean, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. The only place he really didn't fully succeed was Barcelona. And that was because, he went and, everything went around Messi all of a sudden. When guys go to Barcelona, a lot of times these are the guys who they were the best players in their club. Some can adjust. Luis Suarez has done an amazing job adjusting to being the number 2 guy to Messi.
Mm-hmm.
Other guys can adjust to it. For Suarez, it's one of those situations where Luis Suarez is a striker. He is a number 9 center forward. Messi is such a free-flowing player that Messi plays anywhere behind Suarez that he wants. But that means Suarez is still up front there. For other guys, somebody like Coutinho, who was so used to playing on the left side, that's his space. That's where he plays. And suddenly now it's Messi like, oh, well, you're in my way. You need to move. You need to do something else. You're in my way. And for other attacking players, it can be a curse playing with someone that great.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, Coutinho just got caught in it. And it snowballed. And when you look at the fee, that was such a huge fee for Coutinho.
Yeah.
And suddenly he's not living up to that fee. I mean, that's kind of what got him, man. He just got crushed under the weight of expectation. And I think to a lesser extent, or maybe a similar extent, he got crushed under the weight of Leo Messi.
Yeah.
And getting out and going to somewhere like Bayern, the fact he's getting to go to a place like Bayern,
Yeah.
that's about as good of a landing spot as he could have gotten. Barcelona really, really wanted to send him to a Premier League squad.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly based on the money. Now, I'll tell you this, Jurgen Klopp was asked this past week at a press conference, well, why didn't you go for Coutinho when, Bayern only had to pay like 9 million euros for it? Well, apparently Liverpool were quoted 40 million euros for the loan fee.
Oh.
But then about the same option to buy it back. Barcelona really were banking on one of the Premier League teams coming in and getting him. And they were going to charge the shit out of Premier League teams. Well, suddenly, once the Premier League window closed, they had to do something. And, suddenly he's available for a much more manageable fee. So
Chef
when Klopp made the initial comment of, we couldn't afford it, we didn't have the money, people, oh my God, what are you saying? We don't have $9 million? Well, it wasn't going to be $9 million for Liverpool or Man United or Arsenal. No, they wanted to get a damn pound of flesh for Coutinho from one of the English clubs.
Well, I'll tell you this: when deadline day was approaching, and the Spurs were in a bit of a panic because we still hadn't signed anybody but Ndombele and Jack Clark, and it was like, oh god, are Spurs in for Coutinho? Oh my God, Spurs are in for Coutinho, and now I legitimately believe that there were, with you telling me that, I believe that there were inquiries. And I believe when Daniel Levy was probably quoted a price like that, he probably laughed in their face and hung up the phone. So,
absolutely. I mean, there were definitely inquiries made by the Premier League squads.
Yeah.
But the Premier League clubs were quoted a huge number that they had to come up with. And then you turn around and see what happens where Bayern's getting him for a freaking song.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So, those... Man, the transfer market is a damn snake.
Yeah. And it's still open. Well, there you go. We'll see. I'm sure, last year's Liverpool Bayern round of 16 Champions League knockout stage match was pretty spicy. And
hey, real quick, if you take a look at Phil Coutinho's last few years, man, he played for Liverpool. He went to Barcelona, who Liverpool knocked out, and now he's going to Bayern, who Liverpool knocked out.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, man, you just, so he goes from, leaving the team that goes to the Champions League final the year he leaves, to going to the team that gets knocked out in the semifinal, to going to the team that gets knocked out in the final 16. So, next stop might be like Nice or something.
Oof.
But that said, I do think it's a better situation for Coutinho.
Sure.
You walk into Bayern, who are once again another team expected to win their league. I don't think Bayern are quite expecting to have to win the Champions League right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they definitely want to be in the conversation. Don't get me wrong, but as far as being odds-on favorites, they're not. Also, they don't have Leo Messi there. I think Coutinho's going to go in there with Robin and Ribery. Leaving those spots open, I see no reason why Coutinho won't go in, get a spot, and have a real bounce-back season. I think he's going to be really good in Germany.
Well, we'll see. We know sometimes Bayern has taken in some guys and see if they can perform normally. They just buy a bunch of Dortmund products. So we'll see. We'll see what they can do with somebody from Barcelona. So yeah, we'll be checking in over here. I'm sure once the Champions League kicks off in earnest. Because we do it every week now. Hey, it's another U.S. women's national team story. But this is pretty cool. Carly Lloyd, Julie Ertz, and Allie Long showing off a custom WWE title belt. This is cool. This is something WWE's been doing a little bit lately. They've been sending out these kind of like special belts around to some different groups, and this is a dope looking red, white, and blue belt for the U.S. women's national team, who of course won the World Cup again this summer. Triple H, good old Sherm, giving them the congratulations there, and so I think that was pretty dope. They also have given belts to the Raptors and the Blues recently for their titles, but hey, that's
the Red Sox got a belt for their title. That's kind of been something WWE have really done a good job with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because hell, for the price of a belt.
Yeah.
Which give or take, don't get me wrong, those belts are really nice and they're worth something, but for the price of that, you can't buy that kind of good publicity.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
So, it's brilliant of Triple H and WWE to do that. It's absolutely brilliant of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what's cool about it, it's in a white belt form.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that's the women's title.
Yes.
WWE is a white belt.
Which is, as we all know, is currently held by Becky Lynch. So very, very, very cool for WWE to do this. You know, we've been slamming WWE a lot the past couple months. This is cool.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool though. Good job, guys. Good job. It's better than the XFL. And then finally, because you know why not? Major League Soccer, they've announced their latest expansion club. St. Louis will be starting play in 2022. They're going to be the 28th team in the league, and okay. They have plans to get to 30 teams, so that's cool. You know, every other pretty much league in the world has 20, but hey, it's America, so we gotta do it bigger. We're gonna have 30 teams, I guess.
Well, the thing is, I mean, kind of the thing with the United States, though, also, is, I mean, in all honesty, we've got a lot more big cities than most countries do.
It's true. We are a bigger landmass than England. That's true.
Yeah. And, you know, when you really get down to the facts, you know, you've got these big cities, and big cities like to have their teams. You know, in England, you really think about it, I mean, England, just about all the teams are located around the big cities, obviously, but, I mean, there's like 5 or 6 London teams in the Premier League.
Yeah.
There's 2 teams from Liverpool. There's, you know, the teams most of them are kind of grouped together.
Mm-hmm.
So, where, of course, I mean, the United States, other than New York, Los Angeles, you know, you got one here, big city. So, you know, it makes a little bit more sense. But my only kind of issue I come down to with the United States doing it, or MLS doing it, is, I mean, it's not a great league. You've got some really good teams.
That's the bigger problem.
Is you keep watering down your product.
Yeah.
The more teams you get, the more watered down your product becomes. Because that's 25 guys on a roster. That's 25 more guys in the league who weren't good enough to be in MLS to start with.
Right.
And, you know, it's just like baseball expansion. We've had that discussion amongst ourselves and just baseball in general over the years. You know, every time a new franchise comes, that's 25 guys who belong in AAA. Who are suddenly in the big leagues now. And, you know, you water down the pitching, you water down you know, everything just gets watered down. And I just think for a league that, you know, is looking for that respectability and is looking for, you know, to be recognized as a big-time league, I just think by doing this that you know, you're weakening the league, even though financially you may be helping the league, but you're weakening the league as a sporting product.
And that's kind of where I wanted to go with it too, because even if you look at England, look, I said it in my Premier League predictions last week. I think the bottom of the Premier League this year is going to be atrocious. I think it's really bad. And again, that's only 20 clubs. And if you think the talent pool in America for 30 clubs is somehow bigger or on par with the talent pool in England / Europe for 20 clubs,
the biggest, richest league in the world.
Like it just, so that's what it's like. If I generally felt like for baseball, hey, we can churn out baseball players. Like you can, if you want to really go to 30 clubs, fine, do it. That's whatever.
Well, yeah, because there's no real competition to you in the world.
Exactly.
You're the show.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball's the show.
Yes, literally. So
the United States is at best the 6th, 7th, at best they're the 7th best league in the world.
Yeah. I mean they're so they're behind. They're mostly behind England, Spain, France. I would even say Italy, Germany,
Italy.
They're probably behind Mexico.
I mean, yeah, you got to put behind Mexico because Mexico has kicked their ass. I mean, I put them behind Brazil.
Yeah.
Maybe even Argentina.
Maybe Portugal.
Shit, yeah, forgot the Portuguese league. I mean, so now you're getting down to the 10th right now.
Yeah.
I mean, MLS is not. MLS. MLS gets a little bit of worldwide play because of guys like Zlatan and Rooney and Beckham having a place in it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, you take those guys out, sorry, I mean, the rest of the world just not really paying that much attention to MLS. And I just think you're not really helping it by you keep expanding the league. At some point, it's not elite anymore to be in that league, you know?
Yeah, so I don't know. That's where my issues come from.
Yeah, and this is not us trying to bash MLS. We do that from time to time. That's not what we're trying to do right now by any means.
No.
It's just kind of what it is. It's kind of what it feels like is, you know, yeah, you're getting another team. Congratulations, that's more merch to sell. That's more tickets to sell, but, you know,
I think
kind of doing it at the expense of your league.
I think if they did a better job of growing the secondary leagues, I think this wouldn't be an issue. And believe me, I'm not saying that as someone who is pro promotion relegation. I actually think that's a terrible idea for MLS until about another 30 or 40 years. I think it's a terrible idea. But like the Minnesotas of the world and now the St. Louis and, you know, God bless them if Raleigh, you know, gets their expansion club. You know, these aren't premier destinations. I'm sorry, they're just not. And if they were good at the level they were at, Minnesota was great at the level right below MLS, and since they've jumped up, they've really struggled. And it's like if the second league was maybe just built up more instead of having to shove everyone up to MLS, would it be better? Maybe. I don't know. But hey, more money, more problems. So that is the news and notes for the week. Let's quickly hit the watch for. Wes, what are you watching in the week that was or the week that will be?
I had an interesting week this week when it came to watching.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start off, and we will complete our Summer of Marvel. As last night, I got my first look at Endgame at the house with my super mom and the super child. Callie watched it, talked through only half of it, so you know that was fun.
It's good.
Had to literally explain everything as it was happening to her. But she's okay. She's a good girl. She was into it. We finished the Endgame last night. As expected, Mother broke down at the death of Tony Stark.
Of course.
That was just about took her out. She's been such an Iron Man fan for so many years. She does love Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
So she was very upset to see Tony die. Still brought it up again this morning. So the Summer of Marvel died. So it literally since I think we started back in April.
Wow.
Me and my mom, I think, started back in April. We watched everything from the very first. Now, I ran them all chronologically.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with Captain America, the First Avenger. We started at Captain America and ran all the way through Endgame in the summer. So,
wow.
the Summer of Marvel. What did I check this week? I went and saw Hobbs and Shaw this week.
Oh, yeah, the Fast and Furious spinoff.
And I'm going to tell you, I'm not the biggest Fast and the Furious fan.
Mm-hmm.
I literally found out like 2 weeks ago the whole story behind who Hobbs and Shaw were. Just because we were at work and they had a little mini marathon going, so we watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's who they are. I'm going to tell you that. It was 2 hours and some change.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very, very entertaining, very fun summer shoot 'em up, bang bang, car chase movie starring The Rock.
Okay.
I mean, The Rock was The Rock. I mean, there's nothing else to say here. Forget Dwayne Johnson, he was The Rock. Jason Statham, he and Jason Statham, I thought played off each other really well. They were very funny together, very likable characters. Roman Reigns got his biggest push since we used to push him. He was in the movie. I really can't remember if he actually got a line in the movie or not. But he was there, by God. He was, he did a few of his little Roman Reigns things. It was kind of cool seeing him. But it was a very fun summer movie, and apparently it's going to continue Haunted Show Report. Ryan Reynolds was in it.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
and he was very Ryan Reynolds. For lack of other things, he played Ryan Reynolds to a T.
Wonderful.
So that was a fun little addition to it. But I think it was a right good movie. Once again, continued not as fast as I was originally doing. I'm working on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm in about the middle of season 2 right now.
Okay.
Timing wise, I've had a lot of things going on recently, so I haven't just had a chance to kick back on the old Netflix. The other night, I did watch a movie on Netflix the other night. It was one I wanted to see when it came to the movie theater. Was Bad Times at the El Royale?
Yeah, isn't Chris Hemsworth in that, isn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
Hemsworth is in it, but not really a leading role.
Yeah.
John Hamm was in it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Dakota Johnson was in it.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Jeff Bridges? It was Jeff Bridges.
Yes.
Jeff Bridges is one of the main characters in it. Very interesting movie. It felt a lot like a Tarantino movie.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, this movie was also set in 1969.
Yeah.
Just so it happened to be. So it was, the period piece, and it was kind of like a crime noir thriller type movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting. It was good. Hemsworth plays a role that you've never seen Chris Hemsworth play.
What role is that?
He's sort of like a Charles Manson type in this movie.
Okay.
You think back once again, 1969. He was kind of like a cult leader almost.
Mm-hmm.
Except instead of being this like squirrely little dark-haired, guy, he's freaking Chris Hemsworth with a beard and looks just like $2 million in it. He has like 60s long blonde hair and a beard, and he looks amazing.
Interesting.
So it's definitely worth a view. I didn't watch it on Netflix. I think I watched it on HBO, the HBO app. So it is on there if you've got Prime and got the HBO app. It's on there. It was definitely worth the watch. It had been on my list to watch for a while, and I finally got around to it.
Awesome.
So I did get to watch some shit this week. So go me.
Good for you. Mine will be pretty quick. My watch for will be quick. I checked it out last night because I remembered it was on there and I didn't really have much else to watch. Netflix has a Rocko's Modern Life 45-minute special. If anybody remembers the Rocko's Modern Life from Nickelodeon back in the early to mid 90s, as part of their big cartoon blog. This was the time when there was Doug and Rugrats and Ren and Stimpy.
Didn't I actually send you a Rocko's Modern Life GIF in the last one?
I'm sure you did. Yeah.
Of Sheldon the turtle going,
yes.
Nauseous.
Yes, that's the one. Yep. Good old Shelbert. So yeah. Yeah, the whole gang's back. Oh no, Filbert. That's his name.
Filbert, that was
so yeah, it's Rocco, Filbert, Heifer, Spunky, all the warriors are back.
Was Mr. and Mrs. Cow there?
No.
Yeah. What are they?
No, you're talking about the Big Heads.
Mr. Big Head.
Yes. The Big Heads play a very prominent role in this movie. Even do you remember the Fatheads?
Yes.
The cartoon their son Ralph Bighead made?
Yes.
That is actually a very important piece of this episode.
No.
And that's all I can say about it because there is a twist. I love saying that. A twist.
All I can really say about Rocko's Modern Life is holy shit, Nickelodeon would put that shit on back in the day.
Yeah, it would.
Jesus, between that and Ren and Stimpy, we had no idea how cutting edge Nickelodeon really was.
That's true. It really is true. They were really ahead of its time.
They didn't give a shit about it. They were a Cartoon Network at that point.
Yeah, they were legit. So to any of you who want to go out there and check it out, I will say this: it does give you that nice warm nostalgia feeling of just seeing like every 30 seconds. It's I remember that character. Oh, I remember that character. Oh, I remember that character. I remember that character. Yeah, there's a lot of that. And there is a twist about, I'll say 2/3 through the 45-minute runtime. Did not know this is maybe not the Rocco's Modern Life we deserved, but it might be the one we need. So, I don't want to spoil it anymore I can't believe I'm having to say spoilers for Rocco's Modern Life. But here we are. Here we are in 2019. So go check it out. It's pretty good. Also, my second and last thing for the Watch 4, and it's not something I did watch, but it's something I would like to watch in the future, and that is, since Wes just mentioned the summer of Marvel, I would like to watch more Marvel-produced Spider-Man movies. So, Sony, Marvel, put your dicks away and get this shit sorted out, because I don't want to see another goddamn Sony-produced Spider-Man movie. I don't want it. I don't.
Another Sony-produced Spider-Man movie could literally kill the whole thing.
I don't want it. They're
not good.
I want more Tom Holland Spider-Man, and I want it done by Marvel and Kevin Feige. So do it.
If y'all can, you know what they need to do here. I have the solution.
Yes.
What do we want to see? We want to see a Spider-Man Venom crossover, right?
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Look, Marvel, let them have Tom Holland to do a damn Venom movie. And then let Tom Holland come back where he belongs to the Marvel universe.
It'd be a great way to do the whole alternate universe thing. Just say the Sony is literally an alternate universe. And then at the end of the movie, he just comes back to the MCU.
That's the thing, man. I mean, we were left with such a shocker at the end of Far From Home. I mean, it can't end like this.
Somebody on Reddit, I was on a Reddit thread, and somebody was like, "Oh, well, they did the engines by Far From Home, and the writers wrote themselves in a corner. How could you possibly write yourselves out of that?" I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have a fucking plan for that. This is Marvel at this point we're talking about here, people. They have a plan. Like, come on, just."
And the thing is, I mean, we're not on a timeline where we have to have a Spider-Man movie in like 2 years.
No.
That's the good thing about Marvel is Marvel puts out so much content a year now for us that, we can sit and wait for 5 years.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
We have to.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. I just got a feeling that it's such a cash cow that they've got to figure something out where both of them are going to get freaking jacked.
Yes.
So, something will happen.
Yes. They're hopefully going to get things in order. So that's that. That is the Watch 4, and that takes us into So Will Eat Raw. And Wes, as we talked a little bit pre-pod, there's some big news coming out of the WWE, so why don't you take it away?
That's right, folks. For all of you who are nostalgic for the Monday Night Wars, WWF at that time, and WCW went head-to-hand, fighting for eyeballs and viewers. As we know, AEW debuts in October on Wednesday nights on TNT. So WWE said, let's do it. And NXT will now be leaving WWE Network. Not totally, we'll get to that in a second. But on September the 18th, it will be debuting on Wednesday nights on USA Network for a 2-hour block. So now, if you don't have enough wrestling in your life, you get Monday Night Raw, Tuesday Night SmackDown, Wednesday Night NXT, and you can record AEW. So basically, you need almost not go a night without wrestling. This, obviously, whatever WWE wants to say, this is obviously a direct answer to AEW going to Wednesday night.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, WWE once again can say anything they want. They haven't really mentioned it around that, but there's a reason. That is like NXT. The problem is I don't turn the network on hardly ever. I still pay for it every month. I don't turn the network on hardly ever. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's not like I get over there to watch it all the time. So, with them being on TV, it'll be easier for me to watch. It'll definitely be easier for someone like me to watch, which makes it ultra easier for the casual fan who maybe doesn't pay for WWE Network, but they've heard about NXT, they've heard how awesome it is. Well, hey, now's my chance to watch it, and I'll have to pay for it. Apparently, it'll still be on the WWE Network. It'll just come on Thursdays and be on the net.
Okay.
So it just won't be its own Wednesday night entity. Good on, man. I mean, hell, we've talked about it. AEW is going to provide WWE. Hopefully that boosts this competition. And now we're going to have direct correlation between it. So, the two biggest wrestling hipster shows are NXT and AEW. And you're going to have to choose which one you want to watch live.
Which one would you like to choose to watch live, Wes Bradshaw?
Right now, I think for me, AEW is going to have that new card spell to it. Mm-hmm. So I think early on I might pop in with AEW and maybe watch NXT on the playback, or be flipping basically that then. The biggest thing that I'd be interested in right now in NXT is, of course, Adam Cole.
Bang, bang.
Bang, bang. So, I mean, that's the thing, man. I think it's going to be two really, really, really good shows. And Wednesday night just became a freaking powerhouse to watch. Because you're going from 1 hour of Wednesday night content on the network to 4 hours of content on network television now. Mm-hmm. And Wednesday night just became like the night.
That is crazy.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see it. I mean, let's say, I'm kind of waiting for something to push me back in. And if I can start watching Adam Cole on Wednesday nights on USA, might have just done it for me.
That is a big draw. So we will see how many people exactly get drawn in like one Wes Bradshaw.
I'm going to take a quick look. Okay, we'll be doing podding, live pod the night of the 18th.
Ooh, that's true.
So, I will come into the pod that night directly off of AEW and NXT. Oh, well, I'm sorry, I'll come directly into the pod after watching NXT.
Ooh, nice. Spicy takes right off the press. I like this. I like this a lot. Very nice. Very, very nice. So we'll be getting that in a couple weeks. Get the almost live reactions from Wes Bradshaw. But until then, we will simply have to have soccer to keep us warm.
Yes, the foot.
And it will. We will be talking so much more about it in the coming weeks, especially next week, because right now, this week's podcast is about to wrap up. Thanks so much for joining us here this week on episode 276 of the Foreign Affair podcast presented by NGSC Sports, as well as Alicia's Pillows and Things. You can find them on the social media as well as us as a collective on Twitter. We are at AFA Pod. Wes, you are?
I'm at Wes Bradshaw 21.
I am at Edward Green. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube via our parent show, the All New Sports Show, and to everyone who's checking us out on Instagram at the All New Sports Show and liking us and following us, thank you. I don't know why you're actually doing this, but thank you. We really appreciate it. So thanks, guys. That's big ups to you all. Hey, if you want to explain why you're doing that, you can email us at allnewsportshow@gmail.com. Also, thanks to our podcast providers, including Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn Radio app, Google Play Music, and the iTunes Music Store. So like I said, we'll be back next week to talk about what's going on in the Premier League. We'll be almost about to be doing the Champions League, so we'll be able to maybe give some predictions about who lands in what pots or in what groups, what would be a spicy group. So we'll be able to let you guys know about that, as well as any other news and notes that come up here as we also approach the end of the European, minus England, transfer window, so maybe something else will shake out before then. But until then, before we get out of here, Wes, anything else you'd like to add?
Beginning this week,
tomorrow night, I believe.
The American version of football will be here every weekend for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
We kick off our high school football coverage. How many years is this again? Me, obviously not you.
My first year was 2011 was our first year together, because 2010 was my first year doing it, but I didn't start with you until my second year.
Okay, so I guess this will be my 9th year on the game.
Yeah. Wow.
Jesus God, what's happening all that? That's right. Yeah, so I will be debuting in our Friday night game. The eagerly anticipated Rocky Mountain Tarboro Showdown has actually been moved up to Thursday night, where it's been some bad thunderstorms. North Carolina on Friday night.
So eagerly anticipated, they moved it up a night.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of going ahead and moving it back and being assholes and screwing my work schedule up, thank you, Tarboro. You moved it up a night. I'm thrilled for that. So we're going to have it on the Game of the Week. This year, joining me on the Game of the Week, I have a new co-host, Mr. Kenneth Fly. Who, Kenny's somebody that we've crossed paths with over the years in some of our ball games. So Kenneth is very knowledgeable on the area. He's a Northern Dash guy, so as we were joking earlier today, he will help counterbalance out some of my Rocky Mount homerism.
What? You Rocky Mount homer? Never.
Me? Not at all. Just throwing it out there, there may be the small outside opportunity that we have a one-night-only reunion. Edward Green may show up for a game this year. Not saying he will, not saying he won't. Who knows?
Never know.
Who knows? So that could be in the cards. College football kicks off on Saturday. Oh, there ain't no better way to do it when you're a fan of the South Beach Bad Boys, the Miami Hurricanes, taking on the Florida Gators. And it is time for Manny Diaz to take his first hide as the head coach of the Hurricanes, and no better way to do it than those damn despicable Gators from northern Florida.
Ew, it's the bad part of Florida.
Bad part of Florida. It's not really a good part of
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah.
But sure, it's all bad. They just don't have the Hurricanes. By that, I mean Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got football going forward. Next week, I've actually got 2 games to call next week. So it's hitting hard and early, fast and furious.
Oh my.
High school football, fast and furious. Go see Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh man. So there you go.
That's my favorite.
And that's so guys, check that out. As Wes did get it posted from the All New Sports Jets Facebook page, and so that game will be a Thursday night instead of Friday. Make sure you check him out if you see him over in Tarboro. Make sure, I believe, still $5 for autographs, or is it 10?
Well, due to our popularity in Bosnia, Herzegovina, Serbia, that area, I've actually had to kick it up to 7 clones. I think that's what they spend over there. Or maybe it's a ruble. And actually, it's actually going to be 500 rubles for 10,000 yen.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, in America, it's basically gone down to like 475.
Makes sense. Inflation, yeah, cool.
Yeah, inflation, the value of the dollar versus the ruble. Yeah.
So go check him out. Go see him.
I am apparently filming a commercial on Friday mornings.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I have a sponsor who, she hadn't even told me who the sponsor is. She said that he wants to do a commercial, and he wants me to be in the commercial with him. So, okay.
Oh,
Split small arm and give me money. Okay. Sure.
oh. Man, you almost had me missing this for a minute.
Bro, we're going to talk off the air, bro.
All right, then let's wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Foreign Affair podcast. We will catch you guys next week, but until then, as always, stay safe and enjoy the football.
Good night to the Empire. The Premier League is back in full force, and by God, it's as fun as it's always been.
Oh, it's so much fun. So much fun.
This show is sponsored by Alicia's Pillows and Things. Check out the Facebook page, Alicia's Pillows and Things, where you will find home decor you will not be able to resist at prices anybody can afford. Check out the pillows and stools of your favorite sports teams. Maybe you want a set of your kid's favorite cartoon or movie character. You can also get full body and neck pillows as well. Log on to NGSCsports.com and go to the Alicia's Pillows and Things tab on the homepage to complete your order. It makes a great gift for Christmas at an affordable price. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.